So, welcome to your morning cars routine. We're going to do our nice, quick cars routine, trying to get through every joint in our body as quickly, as easily as we can. So, we're starting with our neck cars. We're going to try and imagine we're holding a paintbrush in our mouth and we're drawing a nice big circle all the way round, trying to take that chin along our collarbone, up to our shoulder, up to the ceiling, and then back around. For all our cars, we're going to try and aim for about 3 in each direction. Just remember here that we're trying to stay away from any pinch point, and the more that we can squeeze the rest of our body, the better the movement we will get at our cervical spine. Really feel that there's effort as we move that neck around. The next variation is our spine cars. This is one variation of doing it. Hands are going to be on our knees are bent, elbows are straight. The knees and elbows do not bend at any point. We're going to tuck our tail, and then one part of our spine at a time, we're going to start to round before slowly reaching the tail away and starting to extend the spine. So if you think of cat camel, it's the same variation, but we're trying to individually work all the way from top to bottom, bottom to top. So think about initiating 3 times from your tailbone and then initiating 3 times from your head. There's lots of force here pushing down into my thighs, and I'm trying to keep my knees as still as I can. That force helps me get better control at my spine in this position. Keep your breathing constant. Don't force, and try and encourage movement in every position. Next, we're going to move into our thoracic spine cars. So the goal here is to not move the hips or the belly button. We want to keep that still. So we're going to roll forwards, we're going to twist to one side, lean to one side, lift the chest before leaning to the other side, rotating to the other side and coming back to your starting point. Take your time, start smaller and really focus on smaller circles with this upper half of your spine rather than trying to create the biggest movement you can. Remember, the goal isn't about how big you can create a circle. The goal is whether you can control your hips and lower spine from getting involved. So take your time, create lots of force by squeezing your hands in towards your body, and really make sure that you're creating force through your feet into the floor. You're squeezing your backside. So we're talking about that irradiation, that bracing of other body parts that aren't involved in the movement, that help contribute more stability and more strength signal to the working areas. This time we're working on our shoulder blades. So we're going to keep our arms completely down by our side. Try and imagine holding your middle finger on the seam of your shorts, leggings or trousers, whatever you're wearing. And you're just going to roll your finger up and down that seam. From the shoulder blades are going to push forwards, they're going to lift up, they're going to squeeze together, and they're going to pull down away from your ears. You'll do 3 in each direction. You'll then reverse that. So in this case, we're squeezing together, we're shrugging up, we're pushing forwards, we're shrugging down. Really try and avoid the hands doing too much movement forwards and back, only allowing that movement up and down if you can. Next, moving into our shoulder cars, a tricky one here to understand, but we're going to start with our palm forwards, our bicep turned away. We're going to take our arm as high as we can before rotating the bicep inwards and bringing the back of the hand to our hip. So up, big rotation, back of the hand to our hip, and then we push back, we twist outwards, and we bring the arm all the way to the front. If there's any sharp pain at any point, you just remove yourself from that point of pain and work around to continue with the circle. Create lots of force and try and avoid rotating with the rest of the body, so keep everything else square as best you can. So my palm is forwards, I come up, I twist, and I get the back of the hand to my hip. I then push back, I twist out, and I pull all the way forwards, making sure my palm is flat and forwards as I finish. My attempt is to try and bring my bicep towards my ear. However, that might not be possible for everyone. So just work to where you feel that your body resists the movement, and that is the point that you want to try and rotate through. Likewise on the way back, only go so far until you feel that blocking point. Looking at our elbows now. So elbows are nice and tight in, and we're just going to rotate at the forearm before pushing the palms down, rotate at the bottom before bringing the hands up. As you'll see here, as I open out the elbows, I want to try and avoid locking out my elbows too much so I can still allow some rotation. My arms are stuck to the side of my body and I'm really trying to create as much force as I can. My goal is to try and rotate as much as possible. So as I'm twisting out and twisting in as hard as I can whilst bending the elbows. Into our wrists, we place one hand down on the forearm to create some force, then squeeze the fist. I want you to imagine that you are balancing a phone on your forearm. That phone wouldn't drop off, so we're trying to move at our wrist, not at our forearm. Slow, smooth circles as best you can, trying to get that fist to move in every direction. You can do this with the palm open, okay, but we do want to make sure that we get as best signal as we can to the wrist, so I would advise just working with the fist closed at the moment. You can always squeeze a tennis ball as well. With this wrist, I've got a watch strap on, so I can use my buckle as a good reference point to see whether my forearm is trying to move. Good. Let's move into our lower body. So now we're looking at our hips. Find a point to balance. Okay. Try and think about the outside hip doing the movement. We're lifting our knee up, pushing our knee out to the side. We're then inwardly rotating at our thigh, bringing the leg behind us, then pulling the leg back out to the side. Imagine you're hurdling a little fence before bringing the leg back into the center. So as high as I can, knee out to the side, I twist my thigh inwards. I then push back, knee up nice and high, and then over the top. I want you to reference the point that I'm not moving anywhere else in my body, so I'm trying to stay as tall as I can. You can see very minimal movement at my rib cage or anywhere else. So I'm really trying to make sure that my hip is doing most of the movement, not my spine. I didn't really know where to stand here. So just hopefully you can see this as well from a back position. See how high I'm trying to lift my leg up. I'm trying to get my knee as high as I can. Push my knee out to the side, rotating that hip socket. The goal is we're trying to investigate every little bit of workspace that that hip has. And then finish. These ones are a slightly shortcut version, but they're just easier to get done. So lift one leg up, flex the foot, and we're just trying to twist the shin bone. My hand is on my thigh because there's no movement at the thigh whatsoever. It's purely coming from below the kneecap. The whole foot, shin moves as one, and we must keep those toes lifted, and we're just trying to twist as much as we feel we can inwards and outwards. Likewise with our ankle, this is a quicker variation. Leg is out straight. I want to squeeze my whole thigh, okay, and shin, and I'm going to try and create the biggest circle I can with just my foot. If you think about what you did with your wrist, it's very similar. Imagine your foot is in a jar of honey. You're moving through a thick liquid, so there's lots of resistance. There's lots of clicking, cracking, I'm sure, but we're really trying to create that force. So don't do this quickly. Don't just kind of feel like you've got to wiggle your toes around. Try and create the biggest circle you can with your toes and your foot without any twisting of your thigh, knee, or shin. Last but not least, everyone's favorite, the toe cars. So all we're going to do is keeping our feet flat. We're going to try and lift our four toes, push our big toe down, and then vice versa, lift the big toe and push the four toes down. If at first you don't succeed, don't give up. Keep trying.